an all-electric future. When and how? Marhaba, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Mobility by Al-Futtaim Automotive. We have a special guest coming all the way from Sweden to discuss the future of sustainability and climate action.
Do you think children in the future will be driving electric cars?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the future, electric cars will be the default for everyone, so also for my children.
Absolutely. As of now, we're already starting to transition towards EVs. And for now, this is done at an individual level.
I think so, because the adoption rate is so quick nowadays. I think eventually the traditional oil car, petrol car will be gone, and then more people will be driving an EV for sure.
Marhaba, and welcome again to Let's Talk Mobility here at COP28, powered by Al-Futtaim Automotive. Today we have two special guests coming all the way from Volvo, from Sweden, to join us here at the studio of Let's Talk Mobility. You're more than welcome, guys. Thank you very much for joining us today, and welcome to Dubai. I believe this is your first visit to Dubai.
Yes.
How is it so far?
Fantastic. And so hot already in December. Unbelievable.
You didn't expect it to be so?
No. We had snow in Sweden when we left, so it's a bit of a contrast. It's nice to be here.
I would love to start first with addressing the titles, climate action and sustainability. What's the differences between climate action and sustainability?
So I work on sustainability in general, and it's a common question. What does that really mean? And if you go to Google, for example, they define it as meeting your needs without compromising the needs of future generations. So me and my team's job is to translate what that means for the company. So in simple words, it's really about minimizing the environmental impact we have and to contribute to society. In a more professional wording, it is that we want to be pioneers in protecting people and planet. So that in turn then boils down to a number of different questions that you need to address. Climate, obviously, but it's also about water protection, waste management, energy efficiency, biodiversity, how you treat your employees, human rights, and how you contribute to a society. So it's a long agenda. And these days, these matters are extremely important for Volvo and for other companies. But it's in essence, the way the job we do is making the company more competitive. And I've been with the company for very long. So I used to have the same position in the 90s, actually. And
Same position.
Same position.
Oh.
And
when it started really early.
Yeah, I
addressing the sustainability.
Exactly. So in 95, I was head of sustainability for Volvo. And at that time, it was another discussion. And we're a very small team. And we worked on something called the Kyoto Protocol. It was the world's agreement on how to reduce CO2. We have Paris Agreement today. Then we had Kyoto Protocol saying we shall reduce global CO2 emissions by 5% between 1990 and 2010. What happened? No one took it seriously, and the emissions increased by 50%. So governments didn't do their job, we didn't do our job, and having that, experience that failure, which is a huge failure, that's why it's very engaging and inspiring to come here today with the Paris Agreement and seeing the matters being so much more urgent. And that's why we at Volvo have created a unit for climate action.
Climate action now, it's a separate division.
No, it's part
of the sustainability.
Exactly. But it's a team within sustainability that deals with climate.
So what we're saying in climate, we say that that's the highest priority within sustainability. We have plenty of other priorities as well, but we recognize that car companies have been a major problem in terms of climate change. So we need to be part of the solution. Science is very clear. The global stocktake report that UN released earlier this year was very clear on that. The best way to reduce emissions from transportation is to electrify. We have a plan to fully electrify, and that's the key step to reduce climate impact from cars. But of course, we need to do a lot more. So my responsibility is to ensure that we take a scientific approach to reducing emissions from car making and car driving as fast as possible. So I have the strategy including both production of cars, so ensuring that we build the right cars when it comes to climate impact, ensure that we act on it in production of the vehicles, and then in the end of the day, also the use phase and end of life in the end of the day. So the life cycle approach to climate impact of cars.
Thank you for explaining the differences between the two titles. With Volvo, there's a commitment towards 2030 and electrifying all the cars, moving towards being an EV car manufacturer. What's the steps that already been taken? What's the milestones, if I want to put it this way? Like, what's the milestones that Volvo is aiming to achieve in the coming few years to reach to a point where it's a fully electrified models?
So the long-term vision is to be climate neutral by 2040. If you go to 2030, it's to fully electrify. All Volvo cars are to be, the new cars that we bring to the market are to be battery electric. And we have also a short-term target.
No more ICE engine.
No more ICE engine.
By 2030.
No more plug-ins. And we also have targets that we set per car. So we have a target to reduce the CO2 coming from everything around the car by 40% to 2025 and by 75% to 2030.
70% by 20?
75% by 2030.
2030,
yes. And all those action plans, what we concretely do, that is what Jonas is defining.
And you asked about the milestones as well. I think right now we're only launching new electric vehicles, which is a key milestone in itself. Well, we have just announced the new Volvo EX30, or so far, most sustainable car in terms of how we have designed it. And we are launching new electric vehicles continuously to ensure that we can only sell electric cars globally by 2030. On top of that, we of course are taking major steps in ensuring that we produce them as sustainable as possible, both in terms of what we do in our own operation, but also in terms of the materials going into it. And that's a key part of what I do day to day.
When we discuss the models, the EX30 has been already launched. What's new models that is coming in the lineup? I believe there is the EX90 coming this year.
Exactly. We have the Volvo XC40 battery electric vehicle. We have the Volvo C40, and we have now communicated the EX30, the Volvo EX90, and the EM90. But then, of course, as we say, since all cars globally are to be full electric, we are sort of continuously launching new cars. So there will be a long line of full electric cars coming that we have not yet communicated.
Electrifying the whole lineup and moving from a traditional car manufacturer into a fully EV car manufacturer, there is a lot of challenges on the way. Can you address some of these challenges that you're facing day by day?
It actually affects almost all corners of the company to turn from combustion engines to electric engines, to electric cars. So, it starts with how you design the cars. When you take out a big chunk of the engine in the front, you have more freedoms to design the cars differently. You need a cooler up front for conventional engines. That's not needed for an electric car. So you design it more differently. Then when it comes to engineering, obviously, we now need battery engineers, e-machine engineers, no more any combustion engineers. So we have to retrain a lot of engineers. Then it comes to procurement. Obviously, you need new suppliers.
Yes.
And the battery now being the heart of the car, we need to, obviously it's interesting not just to buy it from someone, but to produce it ourselves. So when it comes to building the car, of course, our assembly operators need to know how to assemble cars that are with high current. So that's special training there as well. We're also building assembly plants for battery close to our assembly plants to make that integrated. To sell the car is different because you have to explain things differently to the consumer. To service the car is different, much less service, less moving parts, and of course a different setup. And then finally, which is not our responsibility, but scrapping the car is also a different story. Different story. So it affects the whole value chain.
With Let's Talk Mobility, we've already interviewed several authorities from Polestar, your friends at Polestar. I wanted to just, it occurred to anyone who's listening or who's viewing today, Volvo and Polestar, how is the relation? What's the harmony between the two brands? Since Polestar is moving towards fully electrifications as well as a startup, it's fully EV from day one.
Yes.
And Volvo is also heading towards being fully electrified.
Yes.
Do you share your expertise, your R&Ds? What's in common between Polestar and Volvo in this?
Well, they are two separate companies with common ownership. So of course we collaborate a lot. It's the most efficient way of building cars. So we share platform, we share technologies, but there are two different brands. So when you hear Polestar, it's profilation on progressiveness and so on, and Volvo, we are sustainability, but also very much safety. And so two different brands, but we are, of course, collaborating with technology.
So do you feel like Polestar is trying to target more sportier version of EVs, and Volvo trying to tackle the point where it's more family-oriented, more decent premium electric car?
Yeah, you got it right. You've done your homework.
but on top of that, something we do have very much in common is our joint focus on sustainability, because both of us are really trying to do our homework on it. And what we're saying right now is that we need to set a new standard for the industry, because right now it's not really transparent enough when it comes to sustainability or climate impact in general for cars. So therefore, we're collaborating a lot in trying to do a transparent standardization of what is the complete life cycle assessment of a car, and share that with others so it can become comparable. And I think that's a key thing we are collaborating with a lot, yes, because in the end of the day, there are too many claims out there from different companies, but they don't share the details how they calculated it. So therefore, you cannot really know, are these numbers comparable or not? And that can't be the case anymore. We need to ensure that customers are informed of their decision, and also that we don't mislead anyone when we are claiming a sustainability claim. Yes.
It's clear to me now, is really electrification is the only way to achieve the zero emissions and lowering down the carbon dioxide? It might be. Is it like, do you at Volvo consider another source of energy other than only electrifying and lithium-ion batteries?
I can fill in, because I believe I referred to the UN report released earlier this year. Of course, there can be other technologies out there, but they are also needed for other industries. When it comes to private mobility, science is very clear that battery electric vehicles is right now the most efficient way to decarbonize mobility. So that's what we are doing. Of course, we are looking into different battery technologies, so it's not necessarily lithium-ion batteries, but there can be others. But we are looking into we are working with battery electric vehicles only. Yes.
But that said, that's not enough. Because once you electrify the car, you need to go into the materials, the embedded CO2 emissions in the materials. You produce steel, you produce aluminum, you make a battery, you emit CO2 in the production, in the mining of all the minerals. And then you need to go into that. Very difficult. And that's, the focus also from now all the way up to 2040.
If we look at the numbers, if we take an average battery electric vehicle, of course, it's dependent on how it's charged, but an average battery electric vehicle can only look at the materials be around 27 tons CO2 coming from our life cycle assessments of our cars. But if we break that down into the different materials, around 75% of these emissions come from aluminum, steel, and batteries. So of course, we need to attack those. Of course, there are other materials as well that we're also attacking, but of course, we need to focus on the 75% or the biggest emissions.
Right.
So we are looking into how can we reduce emissions from aluminum today and what we need to do in the future. Steel, we cycle steel today, but also what are the new technologies for the future? Batteries, what can we do with the lithium-ion batteries today, but also what we need to do in the future? And I think that's an interesting and important topic.
But talking about C40, I've seen you've seen the C40 here at the stand. Can you give us more details on the C40 technology and also as a Volvo, as a brand, you guys did really well in the North American market and in European market. Here, still in the Middle East, in Dubai, in UAE more specifically, there is a lot more to work on for Volvo brand. C40 Recharge, it's a new car coming over to our region. How do you view our region first, and how do you view the C40 Recharge?
we think of course that the C40 is an excellent battery electric car. The range is 580 kilometers and it charges according to the standard in 25 minutes for a full battery charge. So and if you look at it, it's connected, it's beautiful. So of course we love it. It's up to the consumer obviously to decide how good it will sell. But we see the UAE market as a growing market, and we are here to grow. So all cars that are globally introduced from Volvo will be introduced in UAE. So we see great opportunities here.
So there is no specific models for specific markets.
No.
Any model that Volvo produce, it has to be also to be produced in our region.
Well,
To be launched.
yes.
Launched.
Yes. I mean, the EM90 that we just launched is initially for China, but we are looking into to see whether that can be sold elsewhere.
Yeah, EM90 is still, so far as a concept.
EM90 is an MPV. You know, it's like a small bus. It's introduced. It was just launched, and it's going to be start of production for China only in the beginning. However, we have a lot of other cars. Later this week, we will introduce the EX30. So stand by for that. It's a beautiful, smaller car.
Going to take place this year.
No, it's this week. We're introducing it to UAE this week.
Here at COP28.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. In 10 years from now, how do you view Volvo? What do you think would happen?
I think we're a very strong company. We have excellent products. We will continue to grow, and we will be one of the pioneers in protecting the people on the planet. I really believe in that, because I see from inside what we're actually doing. And I think we're doing so much good stuff. And when I compare to my peers, I think we are ahead.
Do you share the same?
I fully agree. And 10 years from now, well, of course, then we are a full electric car brand globally. I think that have helped us grow in volume globally. But in terms of taking climate action, as I'm responsible for, I think that's an interesting time in our journey, because then we have acted on very many of these really challenging opportunities, but we still need to go all the way to net zero or climate neutrality by 2040. So I think I'm looking forward to sort of beyond 2030 as well, even though that's going to be, the next horizon of these challenges.
But there is so much to work on to achieve that, or do you feel like you feel more safe and happy about the milestone that it's taking place now?
Of setting a milestone, yes, that's a bold step, but it's to deliver, execute all them. That is the most important thing, and there will always be challenges in actually reaching that.
I feel very confident in our sort of plan and what we believe we need to do, because we have a very strong team internally, and sort of we see what we need to act on. But of course, that's a really big journey to take, and it's not only up to us. What we're doing here at COP is, for example, talk with others to ensure that the supply chains are ready in time, because we're reliant on our suppliers and their suppliers and their suppliers to change.
Yes.
So therefore, it's a very big change for the whole supply chain, even though I see the steps we need to take. So I'm confident in the plan, but it's going to be very sort of big journey itself.
Be a full change in the whole industry.
Yeah.
Since we're discussing the United Arab Emirates and launching more Volvo models, how do you see the infrastructure for an e-mobility in general in the country?
It's absolutely fundamental for the consumers to feel comfortable in buying an electric vehicle. So the infrastructure must be there. How much is very difficult to say, but it's more, because you cannot just have any infrastructure. For an electric car to be sustainable, it must be charging electricity that is generated from renewable sources. So that's very important, and I believe there are plans for that as well here.
You agree with him?
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. I think it's positive to see the ambitions that the Al-Futtaim group is having in terms of expanding charging infrastructure on site, because of course you need to be able to charge. But as you say, Anders, the expansion of renewable electricity to be able to charge the cars as clean as possible, that's a fundamental step in taking climate action. Yes.
Well, thank you. I would love to thank you very much for your time here and for having you guys here with us today as Let's Talk Mobility. I don't know if you have any final wording you want to address to the audience or to our listeners and viewers.
Well,
COP28 is obviously very, very important. We are now 100,000 participants here, which just underlines the significance of this conference. And I sincerely hope that we make results here. I've already seen good progress, so I have great hopes that this will be a very successful conference.
We hope so.
Yes, agree.
Any final wording?
No, I can only resonate or reply or say the same thing as Anders doing. I am feeling positive right now. I think the COP have so far delivered more than I actually thought initially. So I'm feeling hopeful for the coming days.
If we want to conclude, can I get a one word that describes sustainability for each of you?
Sustainability is a prerequisite for success.
And I'm very close to that, because if I was to say it one word, I would say business, because it's business critical. We know we will not succeed as a business in the future unless we do this. In the end of the day, our future as a company is reliant on us acting on our climate targets.
We're glad to hear that. And thank you again for joining us. And you're more than welcome to Dubai at COP28. Our viewers and our listeners, thank you very much for watching this episode or hearing it on our podcast platforms. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. Thank you.